Hi, Mark. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here with you all. Um, Go ahead and take your seat. Find your posture as you have been doing, any posture where you can feel both relaxed and alert. Maybe let your gaze go soft. We're going to just settle in for a second before I start teaching. So just go ahead so that we can share this time together from this orientation, from this contemplative orientation. And let the mind drop into the breath. What's your breath like? Is it shallow or deep? Fast or slow? Warm or cool? And just settle into being present. And know that you can allow anything that I say that resonates with you to stay with you. And anything that I say that doesn't, let it just wash on by. So I'm going to start picking out a couple points from Rabbi Sam Feinsmith's essay for this week that I think will help. And he said that the Torah recognizes that we human beings can easily fall into delusion, imagining ourselves to operate independently of the great oneness of being. And a natural outgrowth of that misperception is the mistaken belief that we own the earth and are therefore entitled to exploit it as we see fit to increase our power and wealth. He also says that a corrective to this tendency of falling prey to that delusion, the Torah provides us this spiritual practice called Shemitah, literally a year of release or letting go. And during this year-long sabbatical, a kind of extended retreat, we are asked to release our habitual tendencies and grow in awareness of our interdependence within the great oneness. During the Shemitah year, according to Shemitah practice, produce, that which grows from the ground, is rendered holy. We can eat it and we can employ it for personal use, but it can't be sold or thrown away. So produce is holy. It's for our enjoyment, but not for sale. It's to be appreciated in its fullness in the moment. Literally, take in its goodness, its beauty, its nourishment, but it's not fungible. You can't trade it in for anything beyond itself. So I want to notice how we start to think of something as mine. When does something become mine? And therefore I can do with it what I will. Imagine anything that has your name written on it. Imagine things that I've picked up in my hand. And even when I put it down, there's still kind of a tether there. When it becomes mine, when I call it mine, my brain, my mind, allocates an increased attentional processing to it. In other words, I pay more attention to it. It floats in the foreground of my attention. So when there's that chair or that seat that you usually take in a classroom or in shul or at the dinner table, notice the feelings when you sit there and the feelings when someone else sits there. Or even if you pick up something at a store and put it down. Does your attention notice the next person who picks it up? This is an orientation that I think Shemitah year invites us to explore. This moving back and forth from things that are sometimes mine and sometimes not. Sometimes they are just themselves. And when it's not mine, it gives me freedom to see it differently, easier to share. So I see this Shemitah year as an invitation to attend to this cultivating a strength and a flexibility in the muscle of reorienting ourselves between the outlook of what is mine and maybe what is holy, as the Shemitah year renders all produce holy. So let's share some words from Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev around this verse from the this week's portion, Ki Tetzeh. And the translation here from the book Speaking Torah. I give you in the document that I will share with you is the full text. So it says, if a bird's nest appears before you along the way, whether in any tree or on the ground, and there are chicks or eggs in it, with the mother bird perched over them, you may not take the mother along with her offspring. Send the mother forth. Then you may take that which she has spawned. Doing so will be for your good. You will attain length of days. So in the Talmud, the rabbis say, you know what? When this says this may make you think that this is about mercy, and it's about God's mercies reach even to a bird's nest, and that we can then ask God to be merciful to us. Well, the rabbis say, you know what? No, this is just a commandment. Just follow it. But then in the Tosafot, this continuing commentary, they take another look at it and say, and they root their response in this mystical idea from the Zohar that arousal above in heaven is in response to the arousal from below. And they say, whoever, or they quote, whoever is merciful upon creatures will receive the mercies of heaven. And that is that our compassion has an effect on divinity. Our actions, our compassionate actions, can arouse God's compassion. But sometimes we're cut off from our own compassion. There are obstacles. We might fall asleep spiritually, or actually run out of energy and really fall asleep. Or maybe we get stuck in this idea of mine. And with that narrowing or focusing of the attention that occurs when we think of something as mine, we focus our attention on that part of it and miss a larger picture. So Levi Yitzchak points to prayer and asks in prayer, this is his prayer, may there be no blockage from my side of compassion. May there be no blockage from my side of the divine flow of blessing. And he quotes, your compassion and truth protect me or create me forever. The Blessed Holy One is creating you anew in each moment. And thus in the Midrash says on the verse from Psalm 150, Kol hanshama tehalel Yah, all the soul praise Yah, hallelujah. With this idea that you can create us anew in each moment giving us a pure heart. And I'm connecting that with Shemitah, with disconnecting those strings of attention that connect us to the things that I call mine. Can I release that in this Shemitah year? Can I begin to practice releasing that and coming to things with a different orientation? And so Levi Yitzchak says that this commandment, that you may not take the mother along with her offspring, doesn't reflect mercy upon or compassion on the bird. If God wanted to be compassionate, Levi Yitzchak says, God didn't have to command us. God could protect the bird without us, for God surely has that capacity. God's intent was rather that we arouse our own quality of compassion, of mercy, by being compassionate toward the bird. That's what the poet meant in saying, your thoughts are merciful towards us, your actions elevate us. So this is the chidush, this is the learning, to arouse our own compassion. And I think that that is what we can do in the Shemitah year. Coming from an orientation of deep connection, learning how to flexibly move back and forth from, yes, these hands are mine, yes, this shirt is mine, yes, these glasses are mine, to move from that to this larger, that they are part of a larger whole. So let's sit with that practice and begin to notice what feels like mine around you. Maybe the chair, maybe the clothes, body, and breath. If you haven't settled in yet, go ahead and settle in. Allow the gaze to be soft. Allow the mind to drop in. And bring the breath to the foreground as if it's the most interesting thing. And can I just get curious about this breath that I call mine? Notice its qualities as if for the first time. Can I render it as holy? And maybe bring your attention to whatever you're sitting on. And notice, maybe move back and forth between my chair and a chair. A chair that for this moment is rendered holy through this quality of attention. Can I release the feeling of ownership, one strand at a time, and maybe feel the expansiveness of moving it out of the basket labeled mine into the basket labeled holy. These are my clothes. They have certain qualities. They have qualities of weight and texture. Can I move that from the basket of mine to the basket of holy? The Shemitah orientation, where we practice thinking of things as themselves, Get really curious as if we're encountering them for the first time. What if they've been rendered holy, to be used well, enjoyed, appreciated in the moment of encounter, and for now not sold or thrown away, not hoarded, not something to control, just seeing it anew as part of the constellation of things that make up this world, this created world, a larger whole. The Buddhists say that not knowing is most intimate. Can we approach the breath, the feeling of clothes on our body, the support of the chair, as if we're experiencing for the first time that we don't know them, and not knowing is most intimate? We'll continue to sit with not knowing and not mine, but holy for the next few minutes. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within. If you haven't already, bring your awareness back to our group. Allow light into your eyes, allow the eyelids to open, and your awareness to come back with us here together.
Thanks, Julie, and thank you for punctuating us. We're doing this month throughout the month of Elul, as is customary, to attune ourselves to the sound of the shofar each day as a mechanism, as a spiritual practice for awakening, for waking up, for cultivating greater consciousness and awareness. Thanks for sharing it today. Thank you so much, Julie. Friends, we seal our practice, as we always do, by allowing those who are in mourning or have a yahrzeit to recite the mourner's Kaddish, and invite you to add the name or names of loved ones you're remembering today in the chat box. I'm also going to put into the chat box now a link to something called the Brit Chazon. It is a covenant that the Jewish environmental organization Chazon is encouraging, which provides an opportunity for us to translate our practice, our spiritual practice, into action. I'll put it again, and I'll put the link in at the end of the Kaddish to the chat box as well, and say a bit more about that. But for now, inviting those who are reciting Kaddish to join me in rising in body or in spirit. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabba, Yama, Dibra, Kivotei, Yamich,
V'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, V'zla b'zman karev Yimreu, V'yish tabach mitpa'ar Yidro v'tfilin naseh, Hadar Yitalam Yitalam Shrifu Elam Yitalim Shata Vishirata Tushbachata Vaneshpata Iran Yama Vimru Amen Ishlama Rabba Mishmaya Imalim Yochel Yisrael Amen Oseh Shalom Bimrama Uya Aseh Shalom Balenu Yochel Yisrael All Ebel Bimru
Amen.
Amen.
Friends, thank you so much as always for joining us today. And I will put in the chat box again the link to the Brit Chazon, which all the IJS faculty members have taken the pledge, which commits you to doing three things over the course of this year, this Shemitah year: making changes in our own behavior, giving time and money to organizations working to solve the climate crisis, and raising our voices and advocating for organizational and policy changes. So to make a connection between our inner work and our work in this world, it's a wonderful opportunity to do so. We encourage you to consider signing up and taking the Brit Chazon and joining the IJS faculty in that, and indicating when you do sign up, it will give you an opportunity to indicate that you learned about it through IJS. And make a connection between our community of practice and the larger community of practice being organized by Chazon. Thank you so much, Cantor Julie Newman, for truly doing it all today, teaching and leading us so beautifully in that chant at the end, and the tikiyah and the sound of the shofar. Thanks to I.D. Stein for holding our space on his return from Israel, again with grace and skill as always. And we hope to see you tomorrow. We'll be led in practice tomorrow by our dear friend, Rabbi Sam Feinsmith, author of this week's framing essay for the Shemitah Project, and on Friday by Cantor Heather Batchelor to sit into Shabbat together, as we always love to do on Friday. So if you're leaving us now, we hope you stay well and safe. And for those who are able and interested, you're welcome to stay on for a few minutes of questions and conversation with Cantor Julie Newman about that beautiful teaching and practice for today. If you do have a question or a comment or a reflection, feel free to put it in the chat box. And if it's a question, just preface it by writing question in all caps. Try to keep an eye on that. Julie, that was just wonderful. And the question that came up for me, I think I understood what you were introducing by way of making the connection between the Torah's injunction not to take the mother bird and its fledgling on the same day, but to shoo away, to release, to practice Shemitah by letting the mother bird go, and cultivating mercy in that way. So I guess my question has to do with what, in terms of your really nice, simple suggestion and teaching, which I took as kind of a mantra or focus phrase: not mine, holy, not mine, holy, which Dayenu, that would be great if that's all. The only thing people take away from this Shemitah year is just a reminder to remember, oh yes, not mine, holy. Great. So where does mercy fit into that, would you say? How did you connect those dots?
That it's a thing that we cultivate in ourselves. So mercy or compassion, that the root of that is the understanding that we're all connected. So this is a theology of God as the deep structure of the universe, and we're the surface. We are connected. That we are connected, and if so I can have compassion. Well, I can't have compassion. I can shoo away the mother bird just because God told me to. That's one thing. But if I'm doing it from a feeling of my own compassion, that compassion within it, I believe, lies the understanding that that bird and I are in some complex relationship. and that relationship may change, but it's a complex relationship, but it exists. And part of why I sit is to make room, make space for the for understanding in what ways I am connected, and so that I can make wiser choices based on that connection.
Right. I think that's the way you put it was really beautiful about basically sort of identifying and removing the obstacles or the obstructions that are blocking the
Right,
mercy, right?
right.
And,
That was Levi Yitzchak. Yeah.
mhm, yeah,
He says, what does he say? And the link has all of this text, by the way.
right.
And he quotes Lamentations and says, "We know that the compassion of God is not exhausted.
Mhm,
The Blessed Holy One is constantly causing a goodly flow of mercy and compassion to come over us. And
mhm,
if we're sometimes lacking in some good things, the obstacle is from our side." And the way he says it there, I wouldn't say it, if we're lacking in good things, it's my fault.
mhm,
I would say, from my experience, it's that I am sometimes cut off from the goodness that is there, that is always around. Not that everything is perfectly good and hunky dory, but access to the goodness that is there.
mhm. All right, a lot of good questions, including, I think, one we could anticipate about that that this mitzvah of shooing away the mother bird to take the fledgling. What's so compassion? Where's the compassion in that? Where's the mercy in that? You
Yeah.
want to comment on that?
I think that my understanding, how I'm reading it, is that it's as opposed to just swooping up and taking it all, or taking in front of the mother bird,
Mhm,
and that the mother bird, who this is the year of a full year's worth of generation for this mother bird, their ongoing offspring, and that whole year's gone because you just took all the eggs. That's imagining, that's sort of anthropomorphizing the bird
right.
in ways that I don't understand. But we also been told that, like, maybe don't touch the eggs and then walk away, because maybe that will sever a connection
Mhm,
between the mother bird and the eggs. And I think the invitation there is just to understand that our relationship with the natural world is complex,
mhm,
and my actions have an effect on the mother bird and maybe the ecosystem in this area, and on and on and on. And so it may not be a perfect example for everybody,
right.
but I think that is that's the point, is to notice how you're impacting others when you act.
Right. Right. And that each moment, as I'm getting it from you, Julie, just a beautiful reminder that even just noticing that we're disturbed by that verse, right, by that passage, it evokes, it evokes that sense of mercy. And based on that Levi Yitzhak teaching, just a reminder that, oh, I have this reservoir of mercy within me,
Right.
right, that I can act upon. That is, and someone did, I can't remember now, someone put in the question about how remembering that that things and that the world is not mine, remembering that not mine wholly, remembering mercy. How do we translate this to how we respond to people who act in challenging ways towards us? This is, of course, another recurring question about
Yeah, that's
how
a
do we
great.
cultivate mercy.
Yeah.
What's the practice for that? How do we apply this to
Yeah.
situations of challenging people?
Yeah. So remembering that in that moment, that the mercy, the compassion is always available, but sometimes we're cut off from it. So what is it that cuts us off? I've been working with, and I see that Sheila Peltz Weinberg is going to be doing a wonderful teaching in October with
Mhm.
Lama John McCransky. whose wonderful book, Awakening to Love, has been just inspirational for me. And he says that when our minds are totally identified with one part of ourself that is focused on, let's say, on managing things or on anger, you know, to somebody else, then other people in that moment are just reduced to objects to be managed or objects to be angry at. But when the mind unblends from that part of oneself by holding my need to get something done, by holding my anger in compassionate awareness. So instead of it being like this, I can release that even the tiniest bit and hold it to the best of my ability in compassionate awareness. Then my perception of others starts to open up. And I can begin to sense more of their human potential, more of them as a full person in their own deep dignity, wanting to be well and happy, just like I do. And if you remember at the beginning, I was talking about like what happens to the brain when I label something mine, like maybe it's my task or my chair, whatever. But there is something actually that happens in the brain where our attention focuses on that. So it's harder to focus on everything else, like the mother bird, like that this other person may be in a hurry too, or has projects or whatever. But that unblending, that change in orientation, that change in the expansiveness of attention, that is exactly what I was hoping to share today. What I think my practice is for the Shemitah year is the practice of not getting rid of mine, but of moving back and forth between mine and holy, between needing to get my task done and recognizing that the people that are doing it with me or quote unquote in my way are also full human beings with their full dignity and worth.
Yeah. And I think this, probably bears saying that cultivating mercy and release towards, people whose actions impact us does not mean not taking actions in response. It doesn't mean being
Right.
passive or just throwing up our hands.
Right.
It means just building that into our response.
Right.
Lest we be misunderstood here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm talking about practicing that inner movement back and forth, not disavowing what's important to you. I mean, yes, and sometimes you do need to get things done, but that moving back and forth, which of a narrower attention and a more expansive attention, and in that expansive attention is where we have greater access to our own compassion and caring. And sometimes it's a very small movement. Sometimes I don't get all the way there, but
And
I
then
practice.
yeah. Well, yes, this is all quite aspirational, but I just really want to appreciate, Julie, again, the kind of bite-sized piece of practice which can help us, right? Whether we can arrest our reactivity or not is a different question, but just, you like, I think very helpfully lowered the bar to say we're just looking to like bring a little bit of this in, right?
Right.
So I know that I, for one, will take away, not mine, holy, not mine, holy, and take that into my Shemitah year. So I want to thank you for that so much. There was a question from Uriella about I think the John Bukransky book you mentioned, which is Awakening Through Love. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay.
And I noticed that Susan Rubinstein made the connection between what Rabbi Miriam Klotz was saying yesterday about Buber's I and it. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. We're at time. Thank you so much, Julie. As always, just so grateful for your, your ongoing presence, and I know participation as well as leadership in this community of practice that we've got going. And kol hakavod to you for the work that you do in Pittsburgh, building community in Pittsburgh, and bringing your many gifts to us on a regular basis here. So we're grateful to you.
Thanks, Mark.
And to Adi Stein, and above all, to all of you for your commitment, dedication, and practice. So we hope to see you tomorrow to practice with Rabbi Sam Feinsmith. Be well, everyone, until